Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back. My name is Megan. If you're new here, today I thought it would be fun to do the eyeshadow palette tag part 2. I have not done part 1 because I was not an active YouTuber when part 1 was created, but Ali Glines recently came out with part 2 and I thought that would be really fun to do with my collection. As you guys know, eyeshadow is probably my most favorite part of makeup. I have lots to choose from, so I thought this would be fun. Maybe you have some of these, maybe you don't. Let me know in the comments. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell just so you're notified of my uploads. I do upload every Tuesday and Thursday, but sometimes I sprinkle in a bonus upload if I'm feeling like frisky. And then also, if you could just give this video a big thumbs up, really does help my channel out. And yeah, let's get into the eyeshadow palette tag. So to start, the first category is the first palette that I used in 2022. You guys might be able to guess this one because I was on a little bit of a panning mission with it. It is the Dear Santa palette from Kylie Cosmetics. This was released like 3 Christmases ago now. And I was on a mission to hit some pans in some shades that had a lot of love and I thought would be close. So I was using this a lot very actively in January until I hit my goal. As you guys can see, this palette is very loved. I am glad that I picked it up. I've gotten, a ton of use out of it. There are a few more shades that I would like to focus on, and I probably will focus on. This formula is really good. It's actually pretty underrated in my opinion. I don't really have any issues with the mattes. The shimmers are absolutely gorgeous. This is definitely a great palette that I find myself reaching for. So yeah, this was the first one that I used in 2022. The next category is the newest palette in my collection, which if you guys saw over on IG, I recently got the Natasha Denona mini Biba palette. I picked this up with one of my little credit card rewards, and when I'm filming this video, I have not yet used this palette, but by the time this video goes up, I will have used this palette. So yeah, this is like brand spanking new to my collection. I'm really excited. I think that the color story is really pretty. And yeah, I really like the other mini that I have from her, which is the mini gold. I love this one. So I was really excited to add another mini to my collection. And yeah, this is the newest one. The next category was an eyeshadow palette that sparks joy. And this is one that I always want to reach for. And I have to kind of like resist because the color story just calls my name. And then like the way the shades shift and sparkle is so stinking gorgeous. It's going to be the KKW Classic palette. It even makes me so happy when I see other people using it on IG and I see it on their feed. I'm like, oh, it's so pretty. Like it just sparks joy every single time. The mattes are beautiful. The shimmers are beautiful. I've loved every single look that I've created with this palette. It's definitely one that I'm probably going to rotate in soon so I can really get some nice use out of it. But this one is just so stinking beautiful. And yeah, just, oh, it's stunning, okay? If you didn't get this, you really did miss out. This one just sparks so much joy. So pretty. I love the aesthetic, the packaging, nice weight. It's just all around a really, really great palette. The next category is a palette that I did not expect to love. This one's funny because this palette went in and out of my cart so many times. And I'd officially decided I wasn't getting it. And then one of my close friends reviewed it and she really loved it. So then I got it. When it arrived damaged. And when I called Sephora, they were like, well, we can either just refund you or we'll send you like a new one. And I decided to have them refund me because I was so sure that I wouldn't like this palette that I didn't want to create more waste by then returning the new palette they sent me because I didn't like it. Like that's how sure I wasn't going to like this palette. And now it's one of my favorite palettes. If you're wondering what it is the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions palette. That's why mine always looks dirty because I've cleaned the shit out of it, but after the shadow explosion, I can't get it to be as clean as I want it to be. but this is one that I expected to really not like, and it's one that has really stolen my heart. I really like the formulations in here. The creams are great, the mattes are great, the toppers are beautiful, the shimmers are stunning. You can just create the most gorgeous, like, wet chocolatey looks with this, and like, I am a whore for a chocolate eye look. I love it. It's so stinking pretty. So I was really glad that I picked this up. The price tag is so salty, but I mean, if you're okay with spending that, I would recommend you pick it up. Do I think that, you know, there's probably better out there or something equivalent? Sure. It is expensive for what it is, but man, it is one that I have fallen in love with, and I am so stinking glad that I do have it in my collection because I love this one. So the next category is the 2021 fave, and there was one palette that immediately came to mind, but then another category is my all-time fave. So that one is my all-time fave. So I picked another fave that I kind of discovered in 2021. I got this palette in 2022, but really didn't start loving on it until 2021. And that is the Scott Barnes Natural Volume 1 palette. This is one that I really just for some reason started to fall in love with this past year and really started to get some use out of it. I really was wanting to reach for it really often. It was one that I kind of had to set aside because I was wanting to use it instead of using project items. But I really love this. The mattes are, again, really great. I love the shimmers. There's some beautiful toppers in here. You can get a ton of different looks out of this. The formulation is just really high quality, and it's one that I can definitely see, it is a staple in my collection, and I continually want to use it. And I just feel like I really got to know this palette really well last year. So this for me was probably my favorite of 2021. I feel like I really discovered it and was able to really get some great use out of it and enjoy it. The next category is my favorite collab, which I don't think that this palette is available anymore. But it is the Carly by Belle and ABH collab that they did. I love the shit out of this palette. I have 5 pans in it, and I have 2 more that are, have a lot of really great use in it. And this is a palette that I would honestly love to just like use all of the time. I've created so many gorgeous looks with this. It is consistent with the ABH formula, I feel like. Mattes are powdery but pigmented. The shimmers are absolutely stunning. I love this one. It's something about the color story that is like so different and unique. And these two swatch pretty similar, but once you get them on the eye, they look completely different, which I think is so stinking weird. But yeah, this is definitely like a favorite palette of mine that I reach for. And honestly, out of collabs, I feel like this is really the only collab that I have other than Laura Lee and Aaron Weaver. I think this is the only other collab that I have. I'm just like not that into collab stuff, so this was one that I picked up and I got it for half off, and I'm really excited about it because it's a favorite that I consistently reach for. The next category is funny. It's not a favorite, but I can't get rid of it. There was one palette that came screaming to mind. One palette that I don't really like is the Colourpop Truly Madly Deeply. And the reason is I don't really wear tons of pinks and purples. And when I reach for this kind of a color story, I typically am going to be reaching for a Huda Beauty palette. And I've gone back and forth about decluttering it. But the reason that I don't get rid of it is because, do you see those glitters, how they have pans in them? I use them on my nails, and they're really great, fun nail toppers. And I don't really have any other like big loose glitters like this in my collection, which is a good thing because these are just so chunky to put on the eye. But they are really great for, using on top of nail polish. So that is why I haven't gotten rid of them, is because I like them for that reason. However, I mean, it's still, I feel like it's always on the chopping block. Honestly, I just need to do some looks with it and make up my goddamn mind. That's what I need to do. But yeah, this is the one that I don't really like, but I can't get rid of it. The next palette is an underrated palette, and this brand and their formulation as a whole I feel is like super underrated. I don't really feel a lot of people talk about them or chat about them, and I picked up a palette from this brand over the summer as a gift to myself for my birthday because I really wanted the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette because I love the color story. I just felt that I would probably be really disappointed with it in general just due to like the price and for what it is. And I have had some like hit or miss with Natasha Denona, so I was really worried that I would be disappointed. And this brand has like a color story dupe to the Metropolis palette. So it's from Alter Ego is the brand I'm talking about, and it's the Artemis Palette. And this is the color story dupe for the Metropolis. And like you can tell, you guys, I've gotten like some really good use out of this palette because it is so good. It's like seriously so underrated. The cream to powder formula in here is like beautiful. Chef's kiss. I really love it. The shimmers are gorgeous on the lid. I didn't have any issues blending the mattes. And honestly, I think this was like 20 bucks, 25 bucks maybe. And look at all these shadows. Like, I just did not expect it to be this good for the price point. And I don't ever see anyone talking about this brand, but like, I recommend these shadows. I have 2 other palettes from this brand. One I haven't tried yet, and the other one was gifted to me, well, decluttered to me from a friend. And I find that so far the formula has been consistent and it does a really nice job. Overall, I feel like this brand is so underrated with like their eyeshadow formula because this is so good. The next category was keeping for the mems, and it's funny because the palette that I always keep for the memories is the Urban Decay Electric palette, and I just decluttered it in my last declutter video, so I no longer have a palette that, ooh, had to be on there. I no longer have a palette that I just keep for the memories, and I feel like I've been holding on to it and not really using it because, you know, it was like the oldest palette in my collection. There were a lot of memories attached to it. And I finally let it go and it feels good. So really excited. That's what it was, but I no longer have it. So yeah. The next one is a new favorite, and this is one I got like toward the end of last year. I picked it up on Mercari. I paid like a fraction of the price for it. It's the Natasha Denona Biba Palette. I love this one, and you know, I've only had it for a couple months, but it's one there for a while. I had to stop myself from reaching for because I just wasn't getting any use out of anything else. But I really love this. The color story is great. The mattes are great. The shimmers are absolutely stunning. And the color story is just so unique. I love how you have like some cool tones, some warm tones. And I've just created a lot of really gorgeous looks with this. And this is one that I've tried that I definitely think is worth the hype, is the Biba palette, and it's definitely become a favorite. It's a more recent favorite. Like I said, I haven't had it that long, but it's one that I continually want to reach for. I want to use. I love the way it looks on my grid. It is just so, so beautiful. So I'm definitely glad that I have this one. She'll probably be a fave for a while. Last but not least, my all-time favorite palette, the one that I listed is the one that I got so much use out of last year and one that I really enjoyed. This might change by the end of this year, but I selected the Tati Beauty palette. This was one of my Pan That palettes last year, and I used the shit out of this. I really just loved the mattes, and I still use the mattes quite often. I loved the color story. I loved all the different finishes you get. The glitters are so just like superior to anything, honestly. The metallics are beautiful, and then you have that nice matte with that like shimmer in it that is different, but it's so pretty in person, especially like when you're in the sunlight. So this was one that I used a lot last year and I really, really enjoyed. This is also one that I am working to incorporate into, you know, bi-weekly use to maybe see if we can't finish up another shade or two as we work through the next few months. But I really just love this one, and I loved all the looks that I created it with it last year. It was actually more versatile than I thought it would be, and I was able to create a lot of really gorgeous looks. And yeah, it's just, It's so like sentimental because I worked on it so long and hard, but also because now it's like no longer available is sad. So this might be, you know, the next one that I keep for like sentimental reasons or whatever. But I still love this palette. I still use this palette, and you know, I definitely want to work on finishing some more of these shades this year. I think it would be really cool if I could finish up at least 2 of the shades. So that's just kind of like a goal I have on the side that I haven't really talked about publicly, but that's, you know, kind of when I'm working on a lot of stuff over here. But yeah, so that is it for me for the eyeshadow palette tag part 2. Be sure to let me know if you selected any similar palettes or what palettes you would have selected instead of what I picked. I am very interested to hear. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!